About 5,000 years ago, the Chinese people domesticated the silkworm for the first time. In doing so, they established a kingdom whose influence would transcend national borders. It's the kingdom of silk. More than 2,000 years ago, the Silk Road, which would flourish in prosperity, was little more than an old trade route. Across its stormy seas and sandy dunes, merchant fleets and caravans would rise and fall. But the kingdom spanned by silkworms has outlasted all of the shifting trade routes. Every year, when mulberry trees spout new leaves, this natural kingdom of silkworm comes to life again. In early April, during the Qingming Festival, the weather in Huzhou, Zhejiang Province, is typical of southeast China. New life is brewing in the moist air. Before 5 a.m., Gu Shui'e and her daughter are already up. It is a big day for both of them. They're going to attend the oldest ritual in the Yangtze Delta region, the Silk Flower Temple Fair.
Every household says a prayer in front of the silk goddess. Our silk farming will be successful.
63-year-old Gu Shui'e is silk lady of her village this year, and her daughter will be the silk maiden.
Our fellow villagers picked us. Whoever does silk farming well gets picked to be the silk maiden.
For the silk farmers, this is a tremendous honor. Traveling by boat, 70-year-old Shi Ah-chin hopes she can get to Hanshan in time for the Silk Flower Temple Fair. She needs to get up before 5 a.m. Her husband Wang Meifang is up early too, so he can see her off. Although age is catching up with her, Shi Ah-chin still wants to be a part of the temple fair this year. Every year in the Yangtze River Delta, before they start rearing their silkworms, veteran farmers go to the temple fair to fetch an auspicious silk flower. This gives them peace of mind, so they can focus on raising silkworms despite the precarious weather in early spring. Huzhou City in Zhejiang has a dense network of waterways. It's in China's most developed region, the Yangtze River Delta. But the way of life deep in the villages hasn't changed much in centuries. This is the season for silkworms.
When does it begin?
It's already started.
Before 7:30 a.m., Gu Shui'e and her daughter meet with their counterparts from other villages. The ceremony officially kicks off as they make their way up the mountain. Every 3 steps, they kowtow. This ritual has been practiced here for thousands of years. Silk farming used to be the main chore for local women. At the Silk Flower Temple Fair, they pray that their silkworms will grow well. As the economy took off, so have people's lives. But here in the villages, the farmers stick to the ancient rituals. It's because of these rituals that local folk believe Qingming is more important than the New Year.
We pray for good weather and good health. We pray for a bumper harvest.
Located near the junction of Jiangsu and Zhejiang provinces, Hanshan has hosted temple fairs for centuries. Every year, tens of thousands of silk farmers come from both provinces to the annual ceremony in Hanshan to take part in the many performances associated with silk farming. But Shi Ah-chin is just here for silk flowers. Having spent decades farming silk, she's convinced, like the other local farmers, that getting a silk flower from Hanshan guarantees a blessing from the silk goddess. Hanshan is a sacred place for silk farmers from Jiangsu and Zhejiang. Anything they receive during the ceremony is considered a good omen for the year ahead. After the prayer, these silk ladies and maidens have done their duty. And so they come back down the mountain to join the other farmers for the most important event of the day, grabbing the silk flowers. Anyone who gets hold of a flower is said to enjoy the blessings of the silk goddess. The future of year ahead hinges on this battle for silk flowers. Shi Ah-chin has been waiting for this moment all morning. After the temple fair, the people in Yangtze River Delta begin a year of hard work. Shi Ah-chin's home in Lu Village is on the southern shore of Lake Tai. More than half a century ago, this quiet village rocked the entire country with a rare archaeological finding. Now in the Zhejiang Provincial Museum, it's the oldest silk fabric discovered in the Yangtze River basin. This makes Lu Village home to the world's silk. The excavation site has since been filled in and has disappeared beneath mulberry trees. But the practice of silk farming has endured and brought prosperity to the region. After the silk flower temple fair, the silk farmers will spend an entire month preparing to look after the new life that will arrive in the spring. The silkworms in Zhejiang haven't hatched yet because of the damp weather. But their distant relatives in Southeast Asia have awoken with the end of the monsoons. The suburbs of Siem Reap are warm all year round. In this modest mulberry forest, silk farming can begin at any time of the year. Ban Rainey is 42 years old. She takes care of these silkworms. The shape of the leaves suggests these mulberry trees are different from the ones in China. There are many types of mulberry in Southeast Asia. Silkworms fed different types of leaves produce silk of varying quality. Less than 5 kilometers from the garden, more than 20 women work in this traditional weaving workshop. Ban Rainey silk cocoons are sent here after being carefully screened. Today, Zoe Sachi has brought her kits to work. Her co-workers might think Zoe is spoiling her kits. But Zoe has her own reasons. She knows too well what it is like to lose your parents. Zoe is an orphan, and she's had a tough life.
Since I started working here, my life has gotten much better. Now I can make money, I can enjoy a better standard of living. I can also afford to send my kids to school so they can get an education.
silk clothing is traditional attire in Cambodia. Although Zoe makes them for a living, she only has one expensive silk dress at home. She only wears it on important occasions. Silk farming in Southeast Asia was never at large scale. But for people like Ben, Rainey, and Zoe, the most important thing is using their skills to support their family. It's early May. Silk farming has officially kicked off in Lu village. The eggs hatch into larvae. Xiaqin has to mince the mulberry leaves so the tiny larvae can eat them. This is the most challenging time for Xiaqin. Despite decades of experience in silk farming, she can't afford to be careless. These tiny creatures are vulnerable to temperature changes and require constant antiseptic treatment. Silk farming is painstaking and time-consuming work. As she grows older, Xiaqin has reduced the number of silkworms she keeps. West of Lu village, Chun'an County is famous for Chen Dao Lake. Silk farming has reached an impressive scale here. Lu village might have the oldest silk farms, but here in the mountains of West Zhejiang, the locals boast the largest silk farms in the province. During silk farming season, both silk farmers and businessmen are busy. Zhang Guoqiang and his colleagues are monitoring the running of the company's breeding sites. Zhang Guoqiang is the chairman of Cataya, China's largest exporter of silk products. For many years, China's silk businesses acquire their raw materials by buying cocoons from silk farmers. But the diversity of the breeding techniques makes it hard to guarantee their quality. More than 2 years ago, Zhang Guoqiang's company started investing in the upstream process, aiming to improve the quality of the silk in the breeding stage.
The quality of the cocoons depends on the species of silkworms and the trees. Good silkworms produce more silk and better quality silk, and they also require a good breeding environment. Chun'an is an ideal place for silk farming. They also have specific requirements for the mulberry trees. We have been making improvements in grafting mulberry trees and developing hybrid trees. The environment plays a crucial part in making Chun'an one of the best places in China to cultivate mulberry trees and produce high-end, good-quality silk.
It takes about a month for a silkworm to be hatched from an egg into a larvae, and then into a pupa in a cocoon. During this process, they molt 4 times. Rapid growth means constant feeding is required. In the middle of the night, Xiaqin has to get up regularly to feed them. This is the most exhausting stage for silk farmers. Xiaqin and her husband live in Lu village. Their kids have started their own families and moved away. their favorite granddaughter was admitted to a university overseas. After she left, Shi Jin bought a smartphone so they could video chat.
Granny?
Yeah.
Granny, is it still warm time?
Yeah.
Is it tough?
It's okay. They're still young. Still in the larva stage.
Which stage?
Larva stage.
Things are going well with the silkworms, and the couple wanted to talk more about them with the kid. But far away on a different continent, she's lost interest in silk farming.
She's scared of them. She's afraid of silkworms. She won't even look at them. She doesn't ask about them.
In the villages of southern China, the skills for raising silkworms are passed down by the women. But the old way of life has changed. Young people are moving into cities. Now the people who still breed silkworms are often older people like Shi Jin.
Now only grandmas do it. The grandmas raise silkworms. Young people don't enjoy it. The cocoons are sold very cheap. It's a lot of effort for not a lot of money. No one wants to do it anymore.
Silk farming may be a traditional way of life for old folks in Jiangsu and Zhejiang provinces. But on the border of China and Myanmar, silk farming is a new enterprise. Every day, hundreds of young women from Myanmar cross the border to work in Kataya Group factories in Yunnan province. Here, they are taught the traditional skills of Chinese women for silk farming and yarning. Of course, these days, the work is done on modern production lines. Today, the center of China's silk farming industry has shifted from Jiangsu, Zhejiang, and Sichuan westward into Yunnan and Guangxi. Rising labor costs is one factor, but businesses are also looking for a good environment in order to produce quality silk. China is the world's biggest silk producer, and 40% of the country's silk goods exports come from Zhejiang. The quality of the raw silk determines the quality of the silk products, and the quality determines the price. But few silk farmers are aware that the most expensive silk is not produced in China. Brazil had almost no history of silk farming. Yet, it produces the most expensive silk in the world.
Brazil benefits from European technology. Meanwhile, the country also invests heavily in breeding silkworms and cultivating mulberry trees. The investment is intensive. That's why silk farming in Brazil is developing by leaps and bounds.
From the viewpoint of geography, you can see that the ancient Chinese invention of silk farming has moved along the trade routes. The edge of the Silk Kingdom expanded west along the Silk Road all the way to ancient Rome in present-day Italy. Lake Como is one of the best tourist attractions in Europe. In late spring, there's about as much rainfall here as there is in Jiangnan. The raindrops are falling on mulberry trees from the Orient. These tall mulberry trees are nothing like the species that's common in China. Today, they are part of the scenery at the lake, and people rarely pick them. Camilo works at the Silk Museum in Como. Since May, the first thing he does in the morning is to pick mulberry leaves from the trees in the courtyard and feed them to baby silkworms. Camilo keeps a small number of silkworms to show young visitors at the museum. So the city's next generation is reminded that silk farming used to be a pillar industry here. In the 14th century, silk farming business from China made Como what it is today. For hundreds of years, Como has been the silk city of Europe. After World War II, labor-intensive businesses gradually disappeared from Europe. But Como remains the center of the world's trade in silk products. Today, the city has fewer than 90,000 residents, but more than 800 high-end silk businesses. The mulberry trees and silkworms from the east have blessed the city of Como with 2,000 years of beauty and prosperity. West of Como, there's another city well known for silk, the French city of Lyon. Like Como, Lyon has prospered since Roman times because of the silk trade. The two cities were called the twin capitals of silk. In Lyon, Frederick owns a silk weaving business. For years, Frederick had focused on the quality of his products. He has a large number of clients in Europe, most of which are international brands.
We are specialized in twisting yarn, twisting silk for the very, very high level, for the very high brand mark. Most famous brands we know in Europe, like Hermès, Chanel, Dior.
Frederick has specific demands for the quality of the raw silk. In recent years, the quality of Chinese silk has improved and it's become a major source of raw material for European buyers. Frederick is one of them.
I'm going twice per year in China to understand how is the market, where are the good quality, and of course we are buying a lot of our silk. 80% of our supply come from China, that's true.
It is almost May, and Frederick is starting to watch the Chinese market. Last year, the price of raw silk from China went up. Will it be even higher this year? Frederick decides to visit China in person so he can understand the local market.
In fact, as the price of raw silk are growing a lot during the last 2 years, it's very important for me to understand what's happened in China and to know if this situation is stabilized now or not, and what will be the price for the raw silk in the future. It's very, very important for me and for the market, the European market. The European market are very afraid about this situation.
As Frederick worries about the price of raw material in France, thousands of kilometers away in Lu village, Shi Ajin is making one last effort to harvest better quality silk. the silk farmers in Jiangsu and Zhejiang build mountains for adult silkworms. These mountains are fashioned out of straw. In Lu village, the locals also call them grass dragons. Over the last few days, with a bit of help, Xu Achun has finished a few grass dragons and plans to move the silkworms from the baskets onto these mountains. These silk farmers can finally breathe a sigh of relief, because now all that's left to do is to wait for the worms to spin their cocoons. At the end of May, while the silk farmers wait for the cocoons, Frederick and another French businessman have arrived in Zhejiang. They're going to visit a partner in the city of Jiaxing to find out about the price and quality of raw silk in China.
So we are going to try to make some contract with some our suppliers. So, in fact, as we have seen last 2 years, the price growing a lot. Now it's important for us to understand what will be the price for the next month.
Miele is an Italian businessman. He took over the raw silk business from his father. The company supplies raw material to European silk businesses. Because of the silk business, Miele has spent about half of the past few decades living in China. Despite his low profile, he is a crucial link in the raw silk trade between China and Europe. In fact, Miele's father worked to establish the first deal of importing Chinese raw silk soon after the PRC was founded. From China to Europe, these descendants of silk have worked every day to expand the ancient roads of trade and cultural exchange. Spring comes to an end in the village when the silkworms finish spinning their thread. This cycle of creation and rebirth has been going on since ancient times. The lives of the silkworms are written into the silk, which itself outlines the vast territory of the kingdom of silk. Thanks to the silk business, the East and the West have been joined together, and the ancient times have reached into the present.